Welcome to Sew and Tell, where sewists from fashion, theater, and indie sewing bring their different perspectives to the hottest topics in the sewing community. I'm Meg Healy.
I'm Amanda Carestio.
And I'm Kate Zaynard.
Today on the podcast, we are going to talk to Meg about the amazing craft tour she recently took to Italy. I'm just a little bit jealous. Then I'll chat with Kelli Ward of True Bias about sewing a travel wardrobe and the super awesome sewing retreat she attended this fall.
Also slightly jealous.
Super jealous. We'll each share a little something in our SewJo segment, and we'll ask you to share a little something too. Before we jump in, though, how was everybody's weekend?
It was pretty good. I actually got some sewing done. It was amazing. It's been a while.
Same here. I was sewing up a storm. It was awesome.
Meg?
I meant to sew, but then when you mean to sew and you go looking for fabric, and then I spent 5 hours refolding all of my fabric, reorganizing it, getting some little scraps out. And so then my weekend was just folding and I got to no sewing, but at least it'll make the next time I sew a little bit more organized, which I love.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to find what you want when you want it instead of having to dig through big piles, which is how I usually do it.
Yeah, totally.
Well, awesome. Let's get started.
So, Meg, you got to go to Italy on a craft tour.
Yes.
So tell us what a craft tour is.
So basically, a craft tour, Craftours is a company. They call themselves a travel company for crafters around the world, and that's specifically what they do. So our tour, the Berta Style Fashion Tour to Italy, was under their textiles section. So they have tons of, knitting tours, embroidery, textiles. So it's really cool.
Oh my gosh, that's such a cool concept.
Yeah, so it was all fashion related, and it was really a great experience.
So they build the tour around like crafting stuff, or in your case, fashion. Am I accurate? And that's how it goes?
Yeah. So there was, the typical touristy stuff that you just have to do in Italy, like all the sites in Rome that was part of the extension. We went to the Vatican, we did all the Florence spots, Pisa, etc. But we got to go into some exclusive places, some embroidery studios where we saw firsthand embroideries that were being created for runway shows. It actually happened to be just before Milan Fashion Week when we were in Milan, and they said that they were, I can't say the designer because it's, all top secret, but they were working on everyone would know this designer. They were working on designs for a show that was in 2 days on the catwalk.
Oh my
and
gosh.
It was just, I know. And they're like, no cameras. We're going to
So
copy
secret.
the designs.
So I have to ask, obviously you can't tell us the designer because you just said you couldn't. Did you go look at any pictures of Milan Fashion Week and find that embroidery after you got back?
You know what? Kate, you just reminded me. I meant to do that. And now I need to do that. I knew when I was there. Sorry. I was saying to, someone on the tour that, I was like, we have to go look and see this on the runway. And so you just reminded me that I had to do that. So thank you.
You're welcome. Send us the picture when you're done.
I will.
Can you not send us the picture? Because then we'll know the designer.
I'm sure I can. I'm sure I can. Yeah.
Right. Well, so you went to see the embroidery. That sounds pretty cool. I have to admit, I was stalking your Berta Style blog a little bit to see what you're up to. So you also went to the Ratty silk factory. Is that right?
Yes. So originally on the tour, it wasn't. It was on the tour, but then it wasn't on the tour. We were going to a thread factory instead, but then the thread factory couldn't accommodate us. So Ratty Spa got back on the itinerary, and I was so excited because I actually went on this tour 2 years ago too. So this is my second time, just to make you extra jelly.
And we are.
It's working.
But it was my favorite. It was my favorite. You got to see 3 different processes of fabric being printed and created. So you got to see a pattern by weaving, a pattern by silk screening, and then a pattern by actually being printed on these huge digital printers, which is totally awesome. But we got to see how the silk was made and all the factory floors. It was so amazing. And then we got to shop the fabric, which
that was going to be my next question.
Amazing.
Did you bring some home?
I did. I splurged on a piece of lace for a very, very special project.
I can kind of guess what your special project is. Do you want to talk about it or you want to keep it secret for now?
I'll just say it's a white lace and I'm getting married. So, I mean, I think that gives it away. I'm not really good at
so subtle.
So very,
very subtle hints.
I saw the picture again on the blog and it is gorgeous. So is it actually silk? Silk lace?
Yes. Yes, it is. Yeah. So and lucky. Then after seeing all the embroidery studios, I think I'm going to embroider it fully on that like lime green gems and crystals just to make it a little bling bling. So we'll see. I don't know. I still haven't designed it yet. I need to probably going to mix a bunch of different patterns together, switch a top with a skirt or, maybe there's pants underneath. I don't know. So we'll see.
Well, you have
definitely
to
got me. Yeah.
You have to keep us updated because this is a journey we all need to be following you on over the next period of time. But just getting that piece from Italy was just so great. And, we got to see a leather school, too, and all family artisan shops in Florence. And Italy is really about the hand crafting of things and family businesses that have been around and skills passed on. And it's so great. And it was really fabulous to see. Oh, awesome.
How many people were with you on the tour, Meg?
There was 40 of us.
Wow.
So it was a big group, but it was really fun, to meet so many different people. And you could never feel lonely on that tour. There's a bunch of ladies and we all became like a big family by the end, drink the wineries. And everyone became such great friends. Yeah. Oh yeah. Did I mention we went to like 2 or 3 wineries? That was also super fun. I mean, you can't go to Tuscany without going to some wineries. So that was great.
Super, super jealous. That sounds so awesome. So what was your favorite? Well, you said the Silk Factory was your favorite like fashion thing. How about your favorite non-fashion thing that you did?
My favorite, I think it's wherever I travel to. My favorite is just people watching, sitting down, having, the cocktail of the country. So I indulged in a few Aperol Spritz and just people watch. That's always my favorite thing to do. Just see what people are wearing and walking around and living the culture that I'm in. So that was my favorite part. We called it, a sit and spritz. So we'd be doing around and be like, do you want to do a sit and spritz? And so you sit down, people watch and drink an Aperol Spritz.
That sounds amazing. I know I always get tired when I'm touring, and that sounds like just the best way to relax and recharge.
And just kind of immerse yourself.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Meg, did you make anything special before your trip?
I did actually. Just being conscious of packing because I needed to leave a tons of extra room for shopping.
Oh, of course.
And fabric, bringing back. I also got some olive oil. It was a big hunk of my suitcase weight, but totally worth it. Yeah. So I was trying to be very outfit conscious. So obviously made a jumpsuit. I mean, 2 pieces in one. So that was great. I made a linen jumpsuit, and thankfully I had an idea for making something with bigger sleeves, like a kimono sleeve, but then I looked at the forecast for Italy and it was hot. So I changed it to a tank style, and thankfully I did. And then for the nights, I would layer underneath. So I just put a turtleneck underneath or a t-shirt. So thinking about a layering piece that's also a 2-in-1. So jumpsuit is the perfect travel garment to sew.
I would not have considered that, but you make a very good point there.
Yes, thank you. As soon as I put it on, everyone's like, "Oh, you made that right. What pattern is that?" And they were all so jelly. I need to stop saying jelly. I really sound way too young. Sometimes when I just say a word, I keep on saying it. So jealous of my jumpsuit.
Well, when I travel, I like to wear a lot of knits personally.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, I've got a lot of knit. I usually travel to warm climates. It's just kind of a thing, apparently, for me. And so I've got a lot of knit tank tops, and I just, roll those suckers up and shove them wherever they fit. And
right.
That's kind of my way to go. How about you, Amanda? What do you do when you travel?
I usually think about separates when I travel. I mean, I like the idea of having multiple pieces that you can pair in different ways, and a lot of pieces that, are pretty basic, but you can dress them up with the right accessories, or you can wear them just kicking around, and they're really comfortable. Comfort is a really big thing for me. I've heard about folks who are on the jumpsuit end of the spectrum, and people who like dresses too, because instead of two pieces, you're only packing one. And you can, you can style it in a lot of different ways. But comfort for me, kind of top priority.
I have a couple.
Comfort.
I have a couple of little sort of A-line knit dresses that I love to take when I'm going to hot climates, because once they get dirty, I just throw them on over my swimsuit and they're perfect cover-ups. Multi-use.
Meg, I had a question getting back to this craft tour thing, because I have been transported to Italy, and I kind of want to go there now. There goes the rest of my afternoon. But I was curious about the people who joined you on the trip. Were they professional sewists? Were they seamstresses? Were they, what kind of life experiences did they have?
Yeah, a lot of them, they all came from different backgrounds all around the world, really. They're not just from America and Canada. There was some ladies from New Zealand, and last year we had some from Australia, and all have a love of sewing in different ways. Some quilt and some are knitters, but we all do share that love of creating. And then there's a few of the amazing husbands on the trip that accompany their wives who were so great as well. Yeah.
That's super awesome. So I hear a rumor that you recorded a little audio for us of somebody telling a pretty great story about their trip.
Yeah, I was talking to these three ladies and talking to them how they found out about the trip and what they do back home from their day-to-day life. So I have a little audio clip that I recorded in Florence. So we're in Florence right now. We're about to tour the leather school of Florence, and I have three ladies here, and I'm just going to ask them how they all know each other and what made them want to come on this trip.
Well, we all work together. We work in a bridal salon. We do alterations. We don't make the wedding dresses from scratch, but we make the wedding dresses fit the brides. And
very important.
Yes. It looks shabby when the bride doesn't fit in the dress.
That's so awesome.
So in January, I got one of the issues of Sew News and saw the ad for the fashion tour. I decided I was going and passed it along to my friends, and so the three of us booked a trip. Then, after we booked it and paid for it, we told our bosses we were leaving.
Oh my God! You said, "See ya, going to Italy."
First I said, "Well, I'm going to tell you something, and you're probably not going to be very happy, but I'm going to Italy in September for 10 days." And after they said, "Oh, that's fine and beautiful and have a great time," I said, "Well, now this is the part you're not going to like. I'm taking two friends with me." There are four of us in the alteration room, so now three of us are gone.
Oh my God.
For 10 days.
Oh, that's amazing. Where do you guys all live?
In Massachusetts.
Oh, lovely.
Right, we're outside of Boston.
Oh, very nice. That's so lovely. Well, I hope you're having a great time.
We're having a ball.
That's amazing.
I'm the spokesperson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she said it on.
Well, thank you so much. That's such a lovely story. I just got engaged, so I'm in the process of making my own wedding dress. And I personally do not like dealing with brides and doing I've been asked a couple times. I only do it for friends, so I give so much credit to you dealing with brides. Really, I really do.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I just thought that was such a funny little story. They were so great.
Though I have to admit, I feel pretty bad for that fourth alterations sewist, because my best friend does wedding alterations, and man, that woman must be just so mad at all the work she got left with.
I don't know. I love that. I love just taking your friends along. That's, I know. So special to share an experience like that.
Oh, for sure.
Mm-hmm. And then there was some ladies who came alone, and some of the friendships that were created was super great. That's kind of the setting for tours, which is really nice. But yeah, meeting everyone and who they bring. And I had a lot of conversations with her and asking her about who is like the craziest bridezilla you've ever worked with.
The horror stories.
And it was so great to hear.
That's so cool. Well, our kind of exciting news, or maybe it's not exciting news, maybe it's not even news at all, is that we are doing another craft tour next year. We're going to England this time. We're going to hit some stuff in London, and I think there's some various fiber art shows that are happening. But here's the really exciting part, or fun part, or something, is we don't know who's going yet. It could be any one of us. So there will be
to battle it out.
Yeah, there will be a special guest who is also a host of Sew and Tell, but nobody's quite sure who it is yet. So stay tuned for that.
Yep,
We'll
more
let
on
you know
that.
when it happens. And so while we're talking about travel sewing and traveling and sewing when you travel and all of that fun stuff, we are going to have a little conversation that Amanda had with Kelli Ward from True Bias right after a little break.
I was super excited to speak to Kelli Ward, the designer and mastermind behind True Bias Patterns, which are some of my favorite garment patterns of all time. We chatted all things travel, her favorite pattern picks for travel, her approach to sewing for vacation, whether she's a last minute up until 2 a.m. hardcore sewist, and also her experience at sewing camp this fall. We also get a sneak peek of her latest sewing pattern, the Solido skirt. So let's listen. So Kelli, we will start with you. I am so curious to hear what your 3 favorite sewing patterns are for travel.
Well, it kind of changes, I would say, like depending on what my latest pattern is. Usually I get kind of like attached to what I've been making recently. But I would say, so I just got back from camp. And when I went there, I packed a lot of Nico tops. Because it's fall. And so that's kind of like an easy one to just like throw in because it's a knit. I can layer it really well. Hudson pants are always good for when you're on a plane. Lots of those. And then one that's not my pattern, the Mandy Boat tee is my go-to always for like something that's like casual that I can throw over like leggings. I can like lengthen it and put it over leggings. And that's from Tessuti Patterns. I love that pattern.
Such a good one. I have to say that you've kind of got a top place in my top pattern picks for travel. I am a big fan of the Nico, again, because it's knit, it's super comfortable, but it can look really classy. So it's really easy to dress up if you're on vacation and there's a last minute change in plans and you're headed to a museum or a nicer meal out. You can put that on. So it does double, triple duty for you. But also the Emerson crop pants. They're my favorite because, with the flat front waist, looks so chic. And then you've got the hidden elastic waistband in the back. So they are just super comfortable. And I feel like, they're just perfect for all occasions. You can travel in them. You can get where you're going and put them on and feel really comfortable, but also, again, kind of upscale. So those are definitely my top picks.
Thank you. Yeah, that one is a good for like a full meal too, because it has the elastic waist in the back, right?
And that's what you want when you're traveling, for sure. You want that flexibility. And you recently re-released that one, is that right? The Emerson crop pants?
Yeah, the Emerson. So when I first released it, that was probably 3 years ago. And, the styles have changed just a teeny bit since then. Mm-hmm. So when they was first released, it was more of like a mid-rise. So the front waistband was slightly curved as a result of like where it would hit on your body. And I've just found that I just go for high waist all the time now. That's kind of like my go-to. And so I decided, since I was going to be releasing it as a paper for the first time anyways, I might as well update it at the same time. So I went ahead and added a version that hits like at the natural waist. And as a result, the front waistband is now straight. So it kind of like fits, straighter up there at the natural waist as it should.
Awesome. Well, I haven't made that version yet, but it's on my list. So
Good.
I'm really looking forward to it. And speaking kind of generally, are you a big sewer for travel? I mean, do you have, travel plans coming up, and do you plan a whole capsule? Do you have certain things that you want to make? Are you up until midnight the night before sewing things? Because I've definitely been known to do that. How about you?
How can you not, right? Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's the perfect excuse to like make something special. I will say, so like my last trip when I was going to camp, I had so many things I wanted to make, and I ended up with like half finished landers at 2 a.m. being like, I've got to just let this go. I can either be exhausted or I can choose sleep. I can either have these pants or not. So I usually try to make a few things. So currently my next trip is I'm going out for my sister's 40th birthday party in Utah.
Awesome.
So I am making a pair of high-waisted leopard print pants for that occasion, and I am super excited.
Wait, high-waisted leopard print pants?
I am. Then I'm going to wear with like a black Nico to her birthday party. So it's kind of a formal affair. Her husband's throwing a big, there's going to be salsa dancing. I mean, it's going to be really fun, and I'm flying out for it. So I wanted it to be special.
That is awesome. Leopard print this fall.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I know you've been dipping into it a little bit with the Sew Frosting Challenge. You've been headed in the animal print direction. I have not. I'll probably do it about the time everybody decides they're done with it, and that's just how I do. I've done a little bit of travel sewing. We don't go on big exotic vacations, but we did go on a road trip earlier in the spring, and it was for a wedding and a rehearsal dinner. So I planned a couple of basic makes that I could take and kind of pair in different ways, and that was really fun. But it was kind of the first time I had traveled and had a mostly handmade wardrobe, and there was something really special about that. I don't know if it was just seeing all your makes together in one kind of cohesive unit in your bag, or I don't know what it was, but it just kind of felt magical a little bit.
I also feel like travel's a time where you can kind of take risks a little bit more because you're not around your normal people. So people aren't going to be like, whoa, she's trying too hard, or that's out of her comfort zone. You can kind of, nobody knows you. So you can just wear whatever you want to try. And it's kind of like a good time to experiment with things that are a little bit riskier, I feel like.
That's such a good point. And the perfect time to have a little fun with it.
Right. Exactly. Go for those bold prints,
Absolutely. And are you the kind of person who, you're going somewhere, it's for a family trip, but you totally scope out the nearby fabric stores?
Always. Yeah. Often they're actually, my first go-to is the wholesalers that wholesale my patterns. So, I have a list that I'll go through, and I can categorize it by location. And so I'll see, where my wholesalers are. So I'll always stop in and meet the owners and kind of check out what they're doing, because I think that's really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but then, often I don't. So, for instance, this summer we went to Japan as a family, and I was it was incredible. It was my kid's first overseas trip, and I was like, I have to go fabric shopping. And there's a place there called Tomato, which is a fabric store, and I was like, you guys go do your thing, leave me for a few hours. I'm just gonna dig.
Oh,
and it was amazing.
My gosh, that is awesome. There's also, I found, when you buy fabric when you're on a trip, also something kind of magical about that, because then when you bring it home and you finally sit down to make something with it, you have all those memories tied in, and then every time you wear it, you think about your trip, and it's kind of awesome on both ends.
Right. And it is usually like something that's harder to find somewhere else, right? It feels very special and always brings you back to that time. Yeah, I agree. I love that.
Awesome. And so I wanted to hear a little bit more about the camp workroom social experience because it just looks kind of amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the experience as a whole and kind of coming off it, what your takeaways were?
Yeah, you're right. It is amazing. Like I look forward to it all year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like a true camp experience. It's headed up by Jennifer of Workroom Social. She's a Brooklyn-based. She has like a studio there that she teaches and such. But she heads it up. It's out in the Catskills of New York. It's just like this time, like that's kind of magical where you're completely separated from everything else. And the thing that you have in common with the other women is that you sew. So all different demographics, different ages, different professions, but you can all geek out over like sewing machines and seam allowances and marking tools and, like the things that nobody else gets, right?
Absolutely.
And with sewing being such a solitary sport, or however you want to call it, for me, a solitary industry, like I don't get to collaborate very often with other people. And so I always come back feeling like really filled up and you make new friends. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's a really beautiful experience that not a lot of people get as an adult to find, like kind of have that camp experience where you're really bonding with other people over shared interests. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's like kind of the exception to I don't travel very often for work because my kids are young, but that's like for sure on the calendar every year that I go and I work at Camp Workroom Social.
So there's sewing happening there? Are there classes? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So there's different intensives. So I was a counselor this year in the jeans making intensive. So Jennifer had made her own pattern called the Claryville jeans, and we sewed them for like 2 days. There was bra making, fitting classes. I mean, anything that you can think of, couture techniques, hand sewing. So depending on what you like, you can kind of choose what intensive strikes your fancy.
That is awesome. And so do you guys sing songs by a campfire and all those awesome camp things? Because
all those things.
I really love the camp awards, like the homemade decorated plates that with different prizes you can win. I kind of loved seeing that, as someone who doesn't attend, you just, I don't know, that kind of displays the spirit of the whole event, and it
really does. And it's not about like being like the best seamstress award. They're all like kind of funny things or insights or somebody who really overcame a challenge. So, I mean, the amount of tears that are shed during camp week are intense. It's just, I don't know, it's kind of special. It's a safe place that like everybody kind of bonds. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, can you quickly give us a few hints about what's in the works on your end? New things?
Yeah. So by the time this is launched, I should have just released my newest pattern called the Salida skirt. And it is a high-waisted, of course.
Yay.
Skirt that kind of has like a little bit of a 90s Western throwback. Like it has a front V with a zipper, and then there's two views. One's like fitted to the knee with like kind of shaping, and then the other one is kind of like a fit and flare midi, specifically designed to go with the Nico and like booties.
Oh my gosh. Is this your first skirt?
This is my first skirt.
That is so exciting.
I'm really, really, really excited about this one.
I cannot wait to see it. It sounds amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Kelli, and we will be on the lookout for all new and awesome things from you soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was really fun.
Oh, that was such a great interview, Amanda. I loved hearing from Kelli. And I actually I have a Nico top printed out, ready to sew. I'm not too familiar with sewing with other non-Berta patterns, but always wanted to give that one a go.
Oh, I love the Nico. And I just kind of love Kelli. Super excited to have her in the Denver area. She's a good resource for us. And I love her patterns. One of the things she mentioned was that her patterns kind of all go together. So it's kind of like a built-in capsule. You don't have to, make one of her pieces and wonder what to wear with it. You can just
Find
pick up
one of her
another
other pieces.
Exactly. I love that.
Well, I definitely want to tag along for the next sewing camp because I'll tell you what, that sounds like so
fun,
lovely. Just being able to sit down,
doesn't it?
And focus on something and just say, okay, I'm going to spend the next 2 days making this pair of jeans or whatever, and just having the freedom to do that without having to worry about anything else. That I've been to conventions before and conferences, but I've never gone to like a small sewing retreat. And one of these days I have got to do that because it sounds like just a great experience.
Absolutely. And lifelong friendships afterwards too. You know, I think it's like the experience is amazing, but also just the chance to connect with people. It's kind of awesome. It's kind of the reason to go on a sewing retreat.
Yeah, this is the kind of camp I can get behind. No portaging. You're just sewing. I just have scarring experiences from when I was little, and I love that idea of that camp. So definitely want to join in on one of those. So this leads into our favorite segment. I think we can all agree it's our SewJo segment. And this is kind of where we all share a little something that we're excited about, we're inspired by in the moment that gets us to do some sewing for our mojo. So our SewJo. And let's kick it off with you, Kate. What's your SewJo this week?
Well, my SewJo somehow turned out to be skirts this week. I went to the fabric store over the weekend, and I don't know why, but I was just inspired by everything I laid my eyes on, and managed to not buy anything specifically for a skirt, but I'm planning to go back for some stuff. I saw this lovely, like dusty pink tweed. And I'm thinking it might turn into a beautiful FabFit gourd skirt, which is a Jo Mahone pattern that she made for Sew News. And then in the realm of that whole hashtag sew frosting things that you guys were talking about last week, I was eyeing some lovely stretch crushed velvet.
Oh, yes.
That I think would turn into a beautiful SBCC Cosmo Maxi skirt, which is basically my favorite pattern ever. Meg, you don't see me very much, but I've got one out of jersey that I wear like all the time.
Sorry, what did you call it? The SSV? What's that?
SBCC stands for Skinny Bitch Curvy Chick. And they're a pair of
pattern company name ever.
I know, right? They're a pair of women with some unusual shapes to their bodies, and they design their patterns for people who don't necessarily fit the standard mannequin shape. And they have this fantastic skirt pattern that's for jersey, and it's super comfortable, and it's kind of got this like mermaid shape, and it's fantastic. And I think it might be a thing that's going to turn into my holiday look, possibly.
Amazing.
I love that. I like taking a basic pattern and sewing it up in something special. That's kind of my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to take something that's not actually all that fancy or complicated and just make it into something awesome just by picking a nice fabric.
The glory of velvet. I mean, I wish I could just recreate everything in velvet right now. It's just, so luxurious. What about you, Amanda? What's your SewJo?
Oh my gosh, I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum this week.
Pants?
Pants, yes. I have been sewing through my stash, you guys. There's a hashtag for that. It's hashtag sew your stash. And I have been making a dent. Like my bookcase where I keep all my fabrics is looking a little bare. I think I actually went maybe 48 days without buying any fabric, which may not sound like, a huge accomplishment, but for me, it was a really, really big deal. So I've been really dedicated to just cutting down the fabric stash. I've been sewing a lot of really basic blouses for fall. And next is pants. You're right, Kate. What about you, Meg?
So mine's kind of along your lines, Amanda, going through all of my fabric, refolding it. There's just like lots of weird shapes of fabric scraps, and I hate throwing stuff out. So my SewJo is scarves. So I want to make a lot of scarves with these rectangular pieces of faux fur that I have. I have like 3 or 4, and I'm just going to make some faux fur scarves to keep myself warm in this Canadian winter. So
I love that.
Yeah. Sew in my stash and sew in some faux fur scarves.
Perfect.
So
that's totally on trend. as I understand.
Yes. Yes, Kate, yes.
She's proud of me because I'm not very much into trends, but I picked that one.
Yeah.
You can't miss that one this fall.
That's true.
So now it's time for our Sew and Tell segment. In our first episode, at the end, we asked you guys what made you want to start sewing? And we got lots of responses, thankfully. I think we were all kind of worried. We're like, will anyone even respond? So we were super, super happy to get some responses. So we're going to read them for you now. So first we have Liesel, who commented on our show notes page, and she said, congrats on your first podcast. Oh, thanks, Liesel. I did a lot of crafting and hand sewing while growing up, but it was mostly the vast creative opportunity that sewing clothing offered that got me really interested. My mom sewed for us growing up, but it wasn't until I was an adult living on my own that I really explored it for myself. Obviously, it led to a long, enduring passion, given that I'm still working full-time as a pattern maker 10 years after starting Oliver and S. Oh, that's so awesome.
That is. I was really excited to hear from Liesel Gibson because she is the pattern maker, designer of one of my very, very favorite patterns, which I will be gushing about extensively in an upcoming episode when we talk about our tried and true patterns.
Ooh.
So, yeah, Liesel, if you're listening, I love your gallery tunic so much.
Such a great designer. I love her new releases. They're perfect for fall, you guys.
Oh, yeah. The top with the cutout, so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Also commenting on our show notes page, show notes, you guys, was CCC Wilms, who said, I started sewing in 7th and 8th grade home ec classes in the late 1950s, where our first project was a stuffed animal and our last project was a dress. Those were made with patterns and fabrics of our own choosing, with no experience at choosing patterns appropriate to our skills. Sounds like it was a challenge. We had a very patient teacher. Thank you, Mrs. Bissell. I truly enjoyed sewing, and over the years sewed small Christmas gifts and costumes for my children, but never took another class until I started quilting in the year 2000. Your podcast was lots of fun to listen to and makes me want to actually try to sew clothing. Thanks, Meg, Amanda, and Kate. I'll be listening again.
Oh, yay.
Thanks, Mom. That's my mom.
Thanks, Kate's mom.
Thanks, Kate's mom. And Mrs. Bissell.
And Mrs. Bissell. Wherever you are.
Aw.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right. We also heard from Stephanie. Stephanie says, well, the simple answer is that I love clothes and fashion and can never seem to have enough, although my closets are bursting with clothes and shoes. And sewing my own clothes was somewhat of a solution to my fashion and shopping addiction. Note that this has turned into a fabric and pattern addiction. Totally feel you, Stephanie.
Yep, it always does.
In addition, I am tall and lanky, and store-bought clothes sometimes are just not long enough for me, so sewing and altering my own clothes gives me the freedom to tailor to my fitting needs while feeding my hunger for a creative outlet. Thanks for the great new podcast, and I look forward to future episodes.
Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks so much, Stephanie.
Stephanie was the first person to ever email us.
Yes.
So
She gets bonus points.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I love how sewing is an outlet for creative endeavors as well, but to fit a body type and to sew for your unique body shape. I love that so much. I do that for myself too, and that's a really great way to get into sewing as well.
When you don't fit the norm, it's such a valuable skill
just
to be able
it.
to make something fit you instead of having to worry about how you don't fit into what everybody else is making.
And I would totally rather sew than shop any day of the week.
Oh, yes.
Oh, I mean, to never go in like the lighting of a change room at a store, that's just, and I'm in the comfort of my own home to try on my mid-make, so that's really great.
That's the dream.
That's the dream, guys. Yeah. So now we have a new question for you guys to leave your comments on our show notes page, on our Instagram, or email us. And the question this week, fitting in with our theme, is what's your essential garment to take when you travel? You heard about mine. It's a jumpsuit, so we want to hear about yours. All right, thanks so much, Amanda and Kate. That was so much fun talking with you.
It was great talking to you too, Meg. Thanks for sharing your trip with us.
Thanks, Meg, and happy stitching, everybody.
Bye everybody. See you next time. For links to everything we talked about in this episode, go to our show notes page at sewdaily.com/sewandtell. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at sewandtellpodcast@fwmedia.com or visit us on Instagram at sewandtellpod. Answer the Sew and Tell question, tell us your SewJo, or just leave us some feedback. If you enjoyed our show, please subscribe on your podcasting platform of choice. And please leave us a review, ideally a good one, because that helps listeners like you find our podcast. And tell your sewing friends about us too. Thanks for listening, and happy stitching. Sew and Tell is a production of F&W Media Studios and is produced and hosted by Meg Healy, Amanda Carestio, and me, Kate Zaynard. Our audio engineer and editor is Evan Rutherford, and our executive producer is Jared Mayer.